first
Just a quick
meeting.
reminder, do make sure that you pull it down and are speaking into it. That way anyone who's watching the live stream or the recording later can hear.
Okay.
Well, it is 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and
that's the
call our
agenda.
meeting to order.
Yeah.
Looks like the first item on our agenda is to approve the agenda from our previous meeting in November, November 19th, 2024. Do I have a motion to approve that agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, the motion passes.
Okay, sorry, forgive me, was that to approve the agenda or to approve the minutes?
I'm sorry, the minutes for November
Yeah,
19th, 2024.
The agenda approval, sorry, it's probably not been on your agendas in the
No.
past. That's in case there needs to be anything removed from this evening's agenda. So approving the agenda as it's posted.
Okay, so do we have a motion to
Sorry.
approve the agenda as it's posted?
I'll approve the agenda.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, somebody with the city want to give an update on what's going on at the airport?
Okay. Gentlemen, thanks for being here, Steve Payne. Public Works Director, last we talked, the airport lounge was finished up, and you guys stepped in there to take a look. Drywall work's done, it's painted, the mini split's working, so we didn't furnish it or anything. I don't know what the conversation had been around that, you know, who wanted to do what with that. But it's ready, so. The cameras, we were gonna place a pole next to the pilot's lounge there and install a camera system. Unfortunately, rain, soft, you know, a little bit of dry, rain, soft again, we didn't get a pole planted, but that's the plan coming up, so. What we've got with Rommel, as far as putting in a camera system goes, that's, I think, $2,000, $2,500, and we'll put that in. That way, Tyler doesn't have to have cameras out there. He can use the new system. Striping the runway, I spoke with the vendor. The vendor says they had done the striping the last time, so they would honor the price of $15K. They don't necessarily do, they don't do,
Nope, it was on.
okay. They don't do type 3 beads. They don't even purchase them anymore. They were saying they do type 1. The type 3 snow plowing takes them off, and then you're left with less product in the end, and you're paying more for it. So they said they prefer to use type 1, and that they could be out there in about 30 days' time and stripe, because we did the tar and the cracks and everything last fall. So now that's, Brent and I have talked about purchasing the paint and having the street department do it, and Brent's been checking on paint, and as far as we can tell, your money in paint's gonna be about, you know, upwards of 10+ K with his experience with street paint and the amount it'd take to do it. So my thought process was, yes, we can go out there and do it. Would I rather have the professional outfit do it? If it's neck and neck, I thought we would pitch it to the vendor to do it. So, but that's your call. That's just the information I've got for you. So, they had done it before in the past, like I said, so hopefully it would be good to go. Powergate, like we said the last go round, we didn't go through with it because the bid was at $8,300. We just stopped there, so I don't know what the thought process is on that, because in my email I had said, we talked a little bit about, I talked about the topic of it and the lighting system and the fuel system and the things that I personally would like to push forward. I mean, it's your call, and with board approval, if they want to do that, the gate thing, that's great, but Brent has been working, to make sure that the lights are up. They continue to go down. That system's, I don't know what year that was put in, but it's hodgepodge together, basically, so it's constantly. You want to add in anything on
Yeah,
that?
I mean, it's been patched and pieced together over the years, and it's, needs to be where we start at A and end at C and complete new, you know, to get everything updated and so we don't have this issue, you know.
And then we talked about the fuel system. Fuel system's still same. You know, your tank's in the same condition, and I don't know. Me personally, if I'm flying an aircraft and putting aircraft fuel in it, that system's been there a long time. I'm sure it's you know, there's filter system on it and whatnot, but would I prefer something that's a little more updated and you know, that's running my aircraft fuel into my aircraft? That would be the route I would go. And you could look at it, it's all old. So, and that's just me, just throwing that at you so you can think of food for thought. So, other updates, we're just doing upkeep, and then I would hand off to Tammy to talk about hangars and such. Oh, sorry, in the airport courtesy vehicle, of course, was moved over to the new hangar, and we're trying to make sure it's functional and everybody gets helped out with it. So, I'm sorry, did you guys have any questions for me?
So the pilot lounge, other than furniture, and we haven't decided what we want to do there, we've went kind of as far as we're going to go. Does the city have like does Bub clean up the city buildings or somebody like that? To where we could just kind of, do we have somebody that cleans the city buildings that could run out there and just kind of tidy up the construction remains?
Oh, is there construction stuff still out
Yeah,
there?
there's dust and stuff all over the
Oh,
chairs and the
okay.
tables and floor and stuff, so.
I mean,
You could
I mean,
use a
we could-
mop.
Yeah, yeah.
okay,
whoever.
I mean, are you asking for just kind of this one time, go clean it up, okay. I think we could probably squeeze that in. I'll have to talk to our cleaning girl.
Okay.
At this point, we only clean the admin building and the old city hall, so
Okay.
that's what we have someone for.
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering, I've honestly been meaning to get out there and do it myself, but I've been tied up.
Okay, I wasn't aware it was needing, so.
And then that camera we're talking about putting in, is that gonna be like a DVR that streams anywhere, or is it just gonna be a local DVR?
I'm hoping to do a system that'll tie in with so the police department can monitor.
That's
It's
great.
the plan, so
Great.
that's what I'll push for. So.
I don't think we have a line item to talk about the actual, other than the budget review. I'm with you, and I'm sure the board, since we're neck and neck with the striping project and it has to be done as for our infrastructure to get our new hangars and things like that approved, I'm all for letting the pros do it, if you guys are.
I was gonna make a motion on that. You mentioned 4 or 5 things. That one seems the easiest to put out and get it over with. If the city thinks it'd be advantageous to have this company do it, then I make a motion that we hire this company to stripe the runway.
Okay.
We can make a second on that.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The motion was to go ahead and let the pros handle the striping project. As for the gate opener, you had mentioned that your experience was better off with the swinging, like the farm-style gates.
They're less likely to dump out from what I've seen, in my experience. In the military, with the gates, with the chain drive and all that, there's constant problems and stuff, so.
Are we talking like the one with the magnetic latch, or does it have
I was just talking about the actuator.
The
It'd be a
actuator
whole,
itself, yeah.
yeah, the package itself that secures the gate, I'd have to have the gate. We
I
had
wouldn't
D
be
and K
opposed.
do a bid on it, and I think at the time they were at $2,500 to do a setup. And I know you guys realize we have a construction crew, but that's just not there. It would be like me going out there with a YouTube video and putting it, could I do it? Sure. Will it be the best product, the best bang for your buck? I want you guys to have something that functions for, long term, so.
Now, I'm not opposed to that. The whole idea with the gate is just to deter people. If somebody's gonna go in there and be ratty, they're gonna go in there and cut locks anyway. You're gonna have a camera in place soon, so if you need our approval to get bids or anything like that, I support it. And we're talking on the F highway entrance because of safety reasons and because the power's already there and.
Right. And then we just put the camera right there, look at the fuel system, look at the taxiway. That way we see what's going on out there. I mean, that was my thought
Have any
process.
Thoughts on that?
I'd just like to get it done. We've been talking about this for at least 15 years.
Oh, been talking
Yeah.
about the gate for
Yeah.
15 years?
Yep.
I mean, that gate had something on it some
it
time
was
ago,
a-
right?
At least 15, right, John?
Yeah, I'd say that's right, yeah.
Okay.
And yes, it was a sliding gate.
On that
Yep.
Uh-huh.
F highway side?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't even remember that. I'm being,
It's way before your time.
Okay.
You just put a card in and.
Yeah.
and then it would
Let's go
open
without
up.
one of the old cars,
Yeah.
so.
Okay. yeah, I left in 89 and didn't come back, so. Okay, I'll push that forward then and to the.
We already had the thing approved.
Approved, right.
$5,000 in our budget, but, yeah, I'm all in favor of, moving forward. Just something to block it off, say, don't enter, you enter here. We've got signs in place that say, hey, you're gonna be prosecuted, and we're gonna have a camera soon, so.
Gotcha.
As for the fuel, now doesn't MoDOT or somebody take samples of that fuel periodically? And they're looking at octane, they're probably looking at contamination. And how have those test reports been? Because I know we've tested low on the octane just because for a while we weren't selling fuel.
Yeah, they tested good for a good period of years. I mean, that's been a long time ago that the octane got down there. Yeah.
Yeah, because we had it drained completely out, and then when we fixed our fuel system, you've been buying, what, 2,000 gallons at a time or so?
Yeah, 200 to 2,400 gallons at a time.
How have our fuel sales been? Have you had to,
It's running about like it always has.
like it has?
Yeah.
Good,
We use that about a year.
okay. So in my opinion, as long as we're still getting good fuel tests, everything's running, that's not necessarily an emergency. Because our card reader, knock on wood, has been stable. The lightning, I think, zapped it the one time, and then we did some configuration changes, and that really made a lot of people happy. Heard a lot of positive feedback on that, so thank you for getting that through, Stacy.
Stacy.
As far as the lights, I've been talking with Ian a little bit, and his recommendation, because we do have the extra grant money available now, his recommendation is strongly to proceed with doing hangars first, and then our very next project be the light upgrade.
Okay.
So just passing that information on to you guys. He's our consultant, and he's got some experience with this, so I tend to lean heavily on what he says as well. But, hangars would get some income, get a mechanic in there, and the lighting for sure. If we can keep patching it together for a couple more years, he recommended we look at that next. So, are there any other updates or staff reports or anything you'd like to mention at this time?
I talked with Tim Fulton. Where is he at on able to get a hangar?
He has not filled out the wait list form. The aircraft and the applicant has to match on that. So what I have is a form with an applicant with an aircraft that doesn't belong to him. And they are aware.
Okay, I'll pass that on to him.
Okay, thank you.
Where are we at on allowing him to build a hangar out there that he requested a number of years ago?
No one has spoken to me about that.
Yeah, first I've heard of it.
I brought it up in this meeting a couple of years ago.
Okay, my apologies. Wasn't on my radar.
Okay.
So I wasn't aware that was a request.
Say it went with
I
our
wasn't
land
either.
lease discussion, and if we did mention it by name, I don't know, but it kind of goes hand in hand with the land lease option. If we're gonna do it for, make it available, he could be included in that.
Gotcha. I mean, I remember us having those conversations, but I don't recall that we ever came to any conclusions or a landing place on that. I know I had some examples of some land lease contracts and stuff from some other communities, but I don't remember that we landed anywhere with any of that.
As far as Tim goes, I don't even think he would need sewer and water for what he's wanting to do out there. He just needs a place to store his building on the airport, his aircraft on
Okay.
the airport.
My apologies. I do not recall a specific individual requesting that.
Well, I brought it up a couple of years ago, I know.
Okay. Since I've been in this role?
Mhm.
Okay. My
And we were
apologies.
in this room and not at City
Gotcha.
Hall.
Okay. Okay. And that was Tim?
Tim Fulton.
Okay.
Anything else, any other updates or things we need to mention here?
I'd like to say, ask something on the courtesy car, we had that moved over into the new building. How many times has the courtesy car been used? Do we have
I don't have an exact
any calls?
figure.
You know,
I have several people that request it, businesses, the Stave Mill, people that come down to fish at Montauk. I do have several people that request it. But as then our next item is, per your request, you wanted to do the courtesy car a little differently. So I reworked that on a first come, first served basis. So that, if we do it that way, then that may impact some of the larger businesses that use that car. It's just kind of your decision as a board, if you want to proceed with that courtesy car policy, or if we want to keep it the way it is, where they have to let me know that they have it.
Well, we just want to learn, how many contacts,
Yeah,
you know,
I have
and-
several.
and
It comes in waves
What
sometimes.
can we do to, make it better, easier? That's where I'm going.
Right. I think as far as some of the companies go, they would prefer to be able to let me know that they need it. That way they know that they can have it once they fly in.
And if we've got a good system that's working, we want to tell everyone. really,
Right.
And get it, get
And I
people to
believe,
use it.
I believe that it works the way it is. But after some discussion with you as a board last time, some were concerned that it wasn't available enough for other people. So that's kind of just a decision that you need to make as a board. Do you want it to be a first come, first served basis, where I put the forms out there, people fill them out, and we're not really sure where the car is? Or do we continue to let them go through me so that I can make sure? And then that way, if I know I've got it out and somebody's flying in, I make other arrangements so that we can get the pilots taken care of. And I've had several instances where I've went out there myself and picked them up, had the police department take them back, whatever we needed to do to get people where they needed to be.
I'd make just a recommendation that, I think they do it about 90% of the places I've been. Go ahead and leave that option for reserving it. Take their phone number. And then if you have somebody that needs it all of a sudden, say, well, it's reserved at 6 o'clock, but it's 4:49 here, let's call them and see, do you still need it? And if they don't, well, yeah, you can have it, just something like that.
Since I've been doing this, I've never had anyone request it and then not want it. So there's always ways to, as long as I'm aware, there's always a way to make sure that pilots are accommodated. And
Yeah, and it's great that you guys come out and help out as well. I appreciate that. Did you have more you wanted to talk about on the courtesy car policy, or just you wanted our recommendation?
Just your
to-
recommendation.
yeah.
I reworked it.
I would leave that as an option to call you, and if, maybe take their information, and if something else, like I said, you guys are really good about accommodating them if they don't have the car available, so. But yeah, I would simplify it just as simple as we can get it.
Once we get to that point, I think it's pretty simplified.
Good.
We've taken away the 24-hour.
Are we still getting the PD to give them a green light on their license or insurance or anything?
If it's someone, I keep a running list of people that, I
Okay.
name, phone number, they were approved, because they were okay. And most of the time I get the same people asking for the car. So if I have one that I don't know, I'll go ahead and double check and make sure that they're valid, driver's license is valid, and they have valid insurance.
The biggest thing I would ask is that we communicate that to the PD. That way, if you aren't able to answer your phone, that they can call the PD and that they know what's up, because every time I've called, they don't have a clue.
Yeah,
And it's
they
not
have a
their
couple new
fault, you know,
dispatchers,
it's-
so
yeah,
it's, yeah.
If they could just have something on their wall or something,
Okay.
wherever, to where it's like, if somebody calls for the courtesy car, because that's the number we give them, is that, I
Right.
think it's posted on the
It
website.
is,
So
yeah.
if they could know what's up too, because,
Absolutely.
yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
You guys agree? Okay. By the way, John Mahawk is on the phone, I forgot to tell you that. Hi, John. All right, I believe we're ready for our budget review.
Did you guys want to go over the courtesy car policy that's in your packet?
Pull it up.
When I reworked this, I'd emailed it to all of you. I had a few come back and said that they liked it. But I wanted to make sure that everyone was on the same page with it, so that if you want to change it, we can change it before I take it to the board for approval.
The only thing I would really add is, please shut our gate. It's not gonna be an issue once we get the, gate opener in there, but securing it when we're done. Securing the gate, securing the shed, but that's kinda common sense. We good? I believe we're ready for the budget review. And by the way, I guess I was just dumb, ignorant, because I'm used to parentheses being a deficit or a bad thing, but I believe in this case, parentheses is a good thing, money we haven't spent, correct?
Well, are you talking about that last column?
Yes.
That's the change between the current budget and the fiscal '26 budget. So like that 682,000. So within this budget year, we budgeted 711,000. That's because of the T project hangar. For this coming budget year, we're only budgeting 28,000 in that line. So that's the difference.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
less, 682,000 less.
Yeah, that final column shows you the differences between the proposed budget and the current budget year.
Okay.
So select
And
the line
then no
above.
parentheses is over budget.
Or, no, that much more in the budget. So, yeah, that's not an over or under for the budget year, that's comparing one budget year to the next.
Correct.
Okay. All right. I'll let you take it from there.
Okay, so this slide shows the prior 2 years. The next column shows what we had currently budgeted for this fiscal year. The next column is where we anticipate ending this fiscal year. The column with the box around it is the proposed budget for fiscal year '26. And like I already said, the last column is the difference between the current budget year and the draft budget. So looking at revenues, the source of revenues is hangar fees, grants, and fuel sales. We anticipate ending this fiscal year with revenues at 772,000, expenditures at 572,000. Again, we had the T hangar project, so we had grant revenues and expenditures. We had to use 49,000 of prior year reserves.
Down here.
Yeah, it shows there. Which is less than what we had actually budgeted. We budgeted to use 87,000 of prior year reserves. So we had some savings on some of the budget lines. For the proposed fiscal year '26 budget, we show revenues at 39,000, expenditures at 82,000. So that leaves us at a deficit of 43,000. So there, your parentheses does mean it is a deficit. So to balance this budget, we could choose to find ways to reduce the expenditures, take from prior year reserves. And if you look there at the bottom, You'll see the estimated beginning fund balance at the beginning of fiscal year '26 is right around 150,000. See the deficit
right
of
here.
40, yeah. And then if we use the reserves, it leaves us at almost 107,000 in the fund. And then the next slide shows the details within each category, if you want to look at each category. We did budget the paint striping. We've got 18,000. If you want to scroll down, that's revenues.
18,000?
Yeah, go to the capital improvements. So right there. So we have line striping of 18,000, so if you all want to do that. I did not budget in, I did not add anything extra on the gate at this point. Scroll up one slide.
But now, from what Brent and Steve were saying, you guys did the ceiling last fall, right?
Yes, correct.
So we don't need that in this year's budget?
No.
So we could move that to. Okay, where did you want to
Go up a slide. Let's look at equipment maintenance, the maintenance there. So equipment maintenance, so you've spent for this year, I said we're estimating to spend 7,000, what we budgeted. I'm not sure where we're at on the gate or what we were doing, but you've spent so far 5,300. That's because we had the Mako alarm we had to replace, and then also the well, we had to have dug at the well at the airport. And that was like $2,700. So we've spent 5,300 in our equipment maintenance so far.
What was that alarm you mentioned?
On the tank,
Oh.
it was bad.
Because there was a question sent in, I think Rich sent in, about asking why we went from 90 to 4,600 and then 7, you know, what's in those, so.
The prior year, we had to repair and replace new gauges and piping at the fuel tank. So that was like almost $3,300. So my question is on the equipment maintenance. I budgeted 4,000 for this draft budget. I don't know what that camera you all are talking about, what that's gonna cost. And then if we want to add anything in for the gate.
So our prior year went back, or our gate funding we had approved for the gate went back to prior year funding then, I'm assuming? 'Cause we had
About
5,000.
2,000 of it will,
2,000.
because we've spent almost 50, not quite 2,000, but 1,700.
And we've already got 5,000 in there for lighting maintenance, should something go down.
Steve, do we have any cost estimates on the cameras we were looking at, or have we identified the cameras yet?
He had not given me
Okay. Who's he? Oh, okay.
Did the system out of the wastewater treatment plant, I figured it would be roughly that same. I think they spent $2,500 on that.
Okay.
So yeah, does anyone have any questions on any of these details? I know Rich also wanted to know about special services.
Yes.
Basically, special services is professional services when we have to hire someone, like for this budget year, D&H Fueling Solutions.
Where's your special services?
Should be.
Here it is.
So, D&H Fueling System Solutions, they had to come work on our keypad. The prior year, we had Jason Hogan installing the EMB terminal. So it's just, professional services, something like that.
$2,000 and they didn't even get it configured for us, and that should
Right.
have been warranty to begin with.
What other questions did Rich have?
I think it was just a credit card surcharge there
Oh, and could we roll that?
into the price of the fuel?
I don't know that we can with the new rules that we're looking at for utility office. That's gonna apply here too, right?
Yeah.
So with our fuel price being $5.50 a gallon, we were kind of allowing for some maintenance and fees and things like that, because we were only making, I think, a quarter a gallon before, and we were trying to make $1 a gallon now, I believe. Does that sound about right? Something like that. Have our fuel costs been roughly in the $4.25, $4.50?
Stayed very even, yeah, past 2 or 3 years.
Good.
So if I may, on the credit card charges, so there are changes coming at the federal level. Some places have implemented them already. Our credit card processor in the utility office is telling us now, okay, we're having to make this change. So, I can't remember which is which. Visa and MasterCard, one of them we can charge 3%, one of them we can charge 4%, but we can't charge a surcharge on prepaid cards or on debit cards when it's an in-person purchase, which is what these are gonna be. So there are some laws that are coming out that are gonna kinda dictate what we can pass on and what we can incorporate into versus what we've just gotta, do you know what I mean? And since it's not manned, we're not gonna know if someone's using a credit card or a debit card or what they're using. And since we can't charge those fees on debit cards,
Yeah, even playing field.
yeah, and so that was our recommendation to the utility committee, was that we just eliminate the charges. The only thing we were recommending that they continue, we can charge a convenience fee on the web-based payments, but that's not going to apply here, so.
Okay.
So.
I think my last question dealt with the phone bill.
Gotcha. Right, this one.
Yes, actually, our phone bill, we pay $310 a month. It actually raised $100 from this time last year. I did call Brightspeed today, and basically they said the prices have gone up and they were getting the best cost that they can give us at this time. We are paying for 2 phone lines and internet.
So we could probably look into transitioning to Starlink for that.
And how much was that?
$310 a month.
$310 a month.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
very
Lines
expensive.
and
When they work.
Right,
Right,
right.
right.
Yeah, that's the other issue, yeah.
It's been decent, but it just, yeah,
Right, because Starlink's, what?
100 a month, 120 maybe?
I think it's gone up to 120 and about a $500 setup.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah,
By the
That
way,
would be the internet, but the phone lines, we
Right,
still
phone
have to
lines
have the
wouldn't be
phone.
there.
Internet phone or something?
yeah, that would just give us internet, not the phone service,
Okay.
so.
Of course, with Wi-Fi calling, most people that fly are gonna be able to do that anyway.
Everybody's got a phone.
And by the way, just to, you know, at $5.50 a gallon, 4% of that's 22 cents. And we're making about $1, so show you where you're at there. Any other questions on the budget? Do we need to add the gate opener back in to get that?
Well,
Because-
yeah, we need to know what you guys want to do.
Okay.
But hold on, before we move back to that, on the telephone, what do we want to do? Do we want to leave it there? Do you want us to look at Starlink? What do we want to do with it?
What are the 2 phone lines?
I don't know where the two go.
One of
The
them would
one's
be
in the
for
pilot lounge, right?
Well, we don't need the second phone line anymore because the card reader now is
Oh,
internet.
gotcha. So it was originally
Before
for
it
a
was
card
a
reader.
designated card reader line, so we don't need that second line.
Okay.
I mean, do we need 2 phones?
Right. So, I mean, we can look and see what that does to the cost of dropping a phone line. But-
$13 a month, probably.
That's probably about right.
I think it was like 24 something
Okay.
for the
Exactly.
second line. It was almost $25 for a second line.
Oh.
Yeah.
So we just need a recommendation from you all, what you want us to do.
If we get a computer out there of some sort, which Chris is gonna donate, and we have better internet anyway, I don't think we'll need a phone. Of course, I say that, and there'll be some massive emergency and somebody can't call 911.
Well, there's people that wanna call, flight brief,
Yeah, that's true.
and final flight plan,
There's gotta be a way we
If they
can put an
donate.
internet phone out there of some sort. Nathan's saying yes.
You can run a VoIP phone, just run it off of whatever your internet provider is.
I'd say look into Starlink. At least get on their waiting list.
Yeah, if we can cut that cost by 50%, I mean, just put that back in the budget somewhere else.
It's pennies, but I'd say pennies compared to our budget. Cause that'll help us out with our bandwidth when we go to,
Oh, yeah.
stream the camera.
Absolutely, yeah, because we could run into issues if we're trying to do it over flat speed.
So, and it'll eliminate the, possibility of lightning strike coming through the phone lines and zapping our router.
Okay, I make a motion, we look into Starlink as our internet provider.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you. Okay, so back to the gate.
Gate opener. We can budget for more because we found out with the sliding gate setup, of course, 1,800 of that was gonna be just running the line, but that wasn't included in the $8,300 bid there. But we're running less than 100 feet of electric if that was to even, worst case scenario. The poles, Brent, was there issues there to where there would be any, like, would we need to reinforce the ones just to, cause the ones I've seen are like a LiftMaster opener still yet, and they've got a arm with the elbow, and they just kind of push on the middle of the gate somewhere. Is that kind of what you had in mind?
Piston. Yeah, they'd probably have to set a pole or two to make sure that it's.
Reinforce it.
Yeah, the ones that's sitting there, yeah.
If I remember right, the phone line and the water line just went right through the middle of that road, so
It does.
off to the side, you should be fine.
D&K looked at it, so I would just contact Holiday and D&K and.
Okay.
and the third company and get a quote on it.
Sure.
I'll email you guys that, but I would think, knock on wood, I would think, below $4,000, I would think.
So budget 5 and
Well, we're going to a lot
hopefully
smaller
we don't.
gate.
Yeah.
Yes, right, it's a cattle gate, we would paint that up, and put reflectors on it, reflective tape, just make it more, identifiable, that way nobody whacks it into their trucks and stuff. Put the sensors in the ground, instead of just doing the, little photo sensors and stuff, so that nobody hits an $80,000 pickup truck, so, that'd be the plan.
I'm in favor of, or I'll make a motion to add, say, $5,000 to our budget for a gate opener. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we also want to add the 2,500 for the camera?
Yeah, if we need to make a line item for that,
It'd be the same line item, so.
same line item, so. Make a motion to add the 2,500 to the budget for the security camera system. We have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are you okay with the pole placement? I was thinking on the gate side of the pilot's loop, so that the wiring and stuff can just kind of go pretty easy.
You thinking like a bullet cam or like a dome camera to where they don't know where it's pointed? Cause that's gonna be like, just aim there, aim there.
Yeah, I'll have to, what Rommel put up out at the plant was, bullet style, so I'll ask and see.
If you go more toward the lighting constant current regulator, you'll be able to capture both the gate and the fuel, but it might be a little pixelated over toward the fuel, so. Yeah, have Rommel give us some recommendations on the placement of it.
It's hard to pin down sometimes.
Yeah, you think of every possible scenario and then something off the wall happens. Do we have any other questions on the budget?
Okay, so that will make us at a deficit of around 47,500. Okay, so I just need to know if you all want to pull that from prior year fund balance.
Those expenditures, there's
And
on the
go up.
first page.
Right there.
No, we don't know when grant money's coming in, do we? For this fiscal year.
No, not, well, we don't actually receive it until we go to spend it, right?
Correct, correct.
Yeah. So until we have a larger project, if we move forward with the large 50 by 50 hangar or, or something like that, we won't receive grant funding until we're expending it.
Right.
So what happens is we're allotted so much each year, the NPE funds, and so MoDOT holds those in reserve for us until we're ready for a project. So,
Did Ian get you a budgetary number on the Shadeport and the box hangar?
I don't
yet?
have a final number on that,
Okay.
no. No, he was kind of waiting to see, do we want to move forward with that? And we'll talk about the CIP here in just a minute,
Okay.
so that I can finalize with you all exactly what we want to move forward with. So,
Kind of in line with the deficit and stuff. Tammy, I should have mentioned it earlier, the hangar waiting list, do we have any other hangars we intend on filling other than the helicopter hangar?
I don't have anyone,
Because you don't have anybody on the list at all?
I do not.
Okay.
I had one gentleman, we have 2 hangars in the helicopter are available. I had a gentleman come in, or had been on the list, I contacted him. He went out and looked at them and did not contact me back,
Okay.
so.
Okay, so we've got 2 available hangars. I'm assuming it would be I don't know the numbers, but it would have been Don Emery's old hangar and Bohack's old hangar?
Yeah, 9 and 11.
That sounds right then, okay.
Because ours is 10.
Okay. Are there any other questions on the budget? All right, I believe we're ready for the CIP planning and update.
Oh, yeah. To
Moving
pull prior
prior
funds or a recommendation for the budget itself as amended? So, yeah, so we do need a recommendation from you all as a board to the Board of Aldermen for the budget as amended. And so those additions are for the camera and for the gate? Are those the only changes?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, right, and removal of the 3,000 for the pavement seal.
Okay. Do we have a motion to amend the budget as we discussed?
And recommend approval to the Board of
And we
Aldermen.
recommend to the Board of Aldermen.
Yes, I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, so this is the 10-year capital improvement plan as it stands right now. And the conversations, I know Tyler and I've talked quite a bit with Ian about changing this up. So we're in here, and we know this wasn't gonna happen because this happened a year or so later, this 6-unit T-hanger that we just completed. So the taxi lanes were gonna be pushed out at least a year anyway. And in our conversations with funding that's available through our MPE funding as well as additional BIL, the bipartisan infrastructure bill, and those had a 5% match, if I'm remembering correctly. And so we do have a window where we could do potentially, I know the latest conversation was the 50 by 50. Let me, hang on, I pulled it up here. So this hanger, and then looking at a row of shade ports running here. Now, I was thinking we were talking about an additional 1 or 2 small hangars too. Was that a separate conversation?
Must have been.
Okay.
Well, that was replaced by the Shadeport idea. We were
Oh,
talking
the
about the
additional
50 by
ones.
50.
Okay.
Yes,
And then we went to the 50 by 50 plus the shade ports.
yes.
Okay. Here, so as we've gone through and inspected hangars, so I know most of you are already aware, we have we have some in this row, we have these two for sure that need to be demolished. And it was this one, I believe, that even though the roof doesn't look it, when we inspected it, this was probably the best built one out there, surprisingly. So that leaves us in a little bit of a dilemma for constructing the shade port. I thought I had it all figured out when I was thinking we still had a couple of smaller hangars coming with this 50 by 50. I can't, so this one's fully enclosed. And so my thought was, if we were gonna be building one or two smaller hangars also, to offer this gentleman one of those other hangars, smaller hangars, if he would consider taking it. And then we would demolish this entire row and build shade ports as far as the money would go. But I can't in good faith ask him to move into one of these other ones that aren't fully enclosed and aren't as well constructed. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm in a little bit of a dilemma for what to do with this one.
That one's not even a registered or airworthy aircraft is the problem.
This one,
Yeah.
it's not?
It's an ultralight and they don't have to be registered.
So that's my dilemma with that one. Like I said, for the overall big picture for the airport, I think we're better off to, if we could figure out how to do a shift there and then, like I said, take out that entire row and do shade ports. But again, asking a pilot to move his aircraft to something that's less well-built, you know what I mean? I don't feel like that's a good option.
If we do the shade port down through there,
Mhm.
which normally shade ports are accessible from both sides.
Right.
We wouldn't be able to use the backside, the city would be able to use them as storage on the backside because of the air vac hanger. You would have to tear the air vac hanger out to fully utilize the backside right there, yeah. Because you would have the nose of airplanes pointed that way, at least on those two areas, which would be fine if we said that's where we're gonna store the city's equipment.
Well, because we were talking about, I mean, if we could do that, I'd say let's take this too. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I think in our conversation we were having with Ian via email, I was like, nope, let's take them all and build
Mhm.
as far to the north of shade ports as we've got funds to do so.
While you're doing it.
Yeah.
The,
So, because we weren't comfortable with putting aircraft under this one either. Like I said, after we kind of did our inspections.
We can tear Steve's hanger down and build them over there. Just kidding.
Well, I'm confused. That hangar right there,
Uh-huh.
you're wanting to move him to another hangar. That's one that's gonna be built. No.
I'm sorry?
The hangar that your
This one?
cursor is on right
Right.
now, you want to move him to a different hangar.
Right,
And does that hangar exist at this point?
No.
Right, so it's be one we're going to build.
right.
And you don't think, oh, it's not going to be enclosed is the problem.
If we do shade ports, correct, that will not be
Right,
enclosed.
okay.
That's what, I was thinking I had gotten kind of different plans that we'd talked about. We'd talked also about building two smaller hangars here.
Yeah.
I think that's the location. And so, my apologies. I was thinking if we were doing that, we'd offer him one of those hangars that would be enclosed so that we could then demolish this whole row and build the
Hold
shade
on.
ports. Yes.
You've got another area available for shade ports. Well, I know long-term, from the taxiway moving back to the east there, we talked about in the long-term
Here?
airport layout, no, go to the south, or, yeah, it'd be to the south. Right in there was like a extended parking area in the long-term airport layout plan. But you could also do shade ports
Along
somewhere
here.
down through there on this side and not affect any of that.
I mean, we can talk to Ian about it.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean?
Because anything to the north of our current hangar, we're gonna have to do in two segments just because there's a lot of dirt work to be done there.
The north of here?
So our current hangars, our new hangars, are in the
Yes,
middle of that horseshoe.
Right, right.
So our original plan was to build another set right
Out
there,
here.
which could still
Right.
happen in the future, but there's a lot of dirt work to be done there.
Gotcha.
So if we did something on the south side, there wouldn't be much dirt work that needed to be done there, and there's a big
Gotcha.
available field there other than taxiway lights, but that's.
And then we could leave this intact for now.
So if that was an issue, you know, if we
Gotcha.
had that discussion, and said, no, I'm not moving, then we don't necessarily have to kill the project, we could look at a different
A different
location.
location.
That would also buy time in demoing out hangars.
Right,
And it-
right. And we haven't moved on these yet because we were trying to figure out, what are we doing with this? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, and I can run that by Ian and start looking at that. I guess what we're gonna need before we can move forward with funding is we need an official amendment to our CIP. Because right now, that project's not in our CIP. And it needs to be able to draw down that funding. So,
So the official CIP plan is to do another,
yes,
just like
another,
we have.
it would be extension of the taxiways, would be the
And then
next.
yeah.
And then
we're stuck to that because
Right.
we've got hangars taxi
Yes.
lanes going nowhere, and then we have to do that
Right.
next. So, be interesting to see a budgetary number on the Shadeport. I'd say
Okay.
it's substantially.
Oh, I would think so,
less.
significantly less.
Mhm.
I mean, I can ask Ian to draw something up, and then when we kind of get those numbers, we can talk about, do you guys want to meet again? Do you want to do you know what I mean? Something to
And that's a
approve that.
flexible plan
Right.
anyway. They just need to show MoDOT, hey,
Right.
they're gonna need some money in the future.
Right.
And I think we probably need to see what the appetite is to go into a shade port.
True,
I mean,
right. Right, is there interest?
I believe we're down to 10 aircraft again.
12.
11. I think you got an empty hangar now.
So I have one has a plane in it.
Two over here.
3 has a plane in it. 6 still has a plane in it. 7, which is right there.
Where's 6? This one?
Yep.
Oh, right, okay. So 1, 2, 3,
10. And then of course the Domeyer, there's one in there. And then we have 6 T hangers that have.
So that's 8 out here and then 6, right? Is that right? How many, sorry, 2, 3, Steve?
12.
2 or 3 in your hangar?
2.
2, okay. So 7 and 6?
Okay, so I don't have both of those. I need to base those at that airport.
Right, so 1, 2, 3.
Chris called and gave you that, his
4, 5.
number
But, okay, so,
to keep,
okay.
to keep us at the 10 that time. That's the reason he moved
Well,
that
and
one out there.
I don't have that in front of me, so I may have it based there already.
Yeah, if you have the ultralight base there, that'll give you your 12 that are actually listed as being based there.
And
Or
then we probably
the
have 13 then.
powered
I would have
parachute.
to look on the website.
But he specifically moved his out there, out of his shop at home.
And now that you mention that, I believe I do have that on the based aircraft website. So
Okay.
we have 13 at this point. Last time I checked, I was still working on getting one of the new planes based here. I don't know where we're at that point.
Registered somewhere else, and they're gonna have to
Yes.
release it.
Once they've been based, it's at another airport, it's hard to get them based here, but that's a process.
Okay. So, what are,
Quick question on the
yes,
Shadeport.
yes, sir.
Do we know what projected rental rate would be associated per aircraft under that? And would I assume the footprint with respect to the number of aircraft undercover would be similar to the T hangar, so.
Yes.
I guess it costs more to make T hangars, however, would that same amount of square footage rent for more in a T hangar configuration versus a Shadeport configuration?
And I see where you're going, and I agree. So if we demo out the hangars, we spoke about demoing out, we would be better off long-term, and it'd be more desirable to put another set of T hangars there. May not be as appealing. Long-term revenue is gonna be better that way, yes.
Yep.
It would be more appealing to the eye, obviously, to put it with the other new hangar. But that's a two-phase project, and we've got the money now that we may not have in the future. what do you guys, what's your input?
I just think we need to talk to Ian, see what his recommendations are, what the funds we have available, and then what the appetite is to move in.
There's no doubt, and from what you're saying, the guys are coming out and looking at the hangars we have available, and they would much rather see what we have there available. And I think they would take you up on it, if we had a fully enclosed hangar available for them, where they're like, those hangars are gonna blow away the next dust devil we have. So yeah, John, I agree.
For the purpose of out year revenue, I think if we're gonna tie up real estate, an overhead cover alone is kind of limiting our potential return on that real estate investment, if you will, the actual footprint. And I don't know if you've had a chance to relate that anecdote about the guys with the Cirrus coming through and how if we didn't have suitable space for them, if we had excess T-hangar space available, that's the sort of thing that those relatively high dollar aircraft would feel more comfortable doing in a RON.
Right. Yeah, when you're dealing with aircraft that cost anywhere from $500,000 to $2 million coming in here, they don't feel comfortable sheltering under a hangar that we have either. The 50 by 50 could serve as that if a mechanic was working out of there and was able to work that in, but that's never a guarantee. Yeah, I think we have Ian maybe take another look at that for us. I like the idea of having that as our next line item in our CIP, just because we do have the extra, we've got BIL and NPE, I believe are the two we have
Right.
available right now, and the NPE is the 95 match, the BIL I think is 100% on them, if I'm.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
I think
My
you're
apologies.
correct.
So what do we want him to look at? I mean,
Rather than doing the shade port, and I'd say, if it meant getting 6 more aircraft in there, maybe even putting the mechanic, the 50 by 50 off just for offering 6 new T-hangars. If we go that route, we're probably not gonna have the money to do another 50 by 50 also. It's probably gonna be shade port and 50 by 50 or 6T, or maybe
Well,
even an 8T.
and we don't, we don't have the full funding that it took to do the 6-unit T-hangar that we just built. We don't have that much.
Because of the dirt work, because it's gonna be a lot of dirt work and
No,
pavement.
because we've not had as many years transpire. We can let that NPE money sit there and add each year for up to 5 years. And so it's not been that long. And we had a full 5 years worth when we did this 6-unit T-hangar. So we don't have that much money accumulated.
Yeah, we had to wait the 4 or 5 years
Right.
to do enough for the taxi
Right.
lanes and the dirt work, and then we had to come in.
Right. And so we don't have that amount accumulated right now. And I think that's part of why Ian was pitching the shade ports, because it would get the cover for less money. Because we don't have that full amount to do a 6-unit T-hangar.
Okay. That ended up being, I think, 676,000
Something
just
like
for
that.
just for the building.
Mm-hmm, yes. And were you thinking about putting one here? Is that what you were thinking, or what were you lost me a little bit. Because even if we put one here, we're still gonna have to have pavement work done. Because this doesn't have all the approaches for all of the, do you know what I mean?
You won't have to have near the dirt work done, you're still gonna have
Right.
to do the approved, that width of pavement there.
Right. And so I don't know if there's gonna be room, if you have to do this width. Do you see what I mean?
There would be room, there. Just because you could
Here?
probably still put hangars the size of like 5 and 6, the 3 that you're talking about demoing there. You would really have room to put hangars that side on the back side of those butted up to them, but
Right. Oh, they'd be smaller then.
well, they'd still be like a 40 by 40 or something, but we've been to places where the hangars are literally maybe 50 feet apart.
Hmm.
You don't have much wing space, so they can get pretty tight. You don't like to see them that tight, but it can be done. I'm
Well,
with seeing what Ian can
Okay.
figure out for us. I do like the idea of doing hangars next, just because I think they are starting to shy away, given the condition of our current hangars we have available.
And like I said, that's why Ian, I know he pitched 2 hangars here at this, I think this is where. And then he pitched the 50 by 50 plus shade port because of that reduced amount of funding that we have currently.
But they have to
available.
have that ditch there.
Right, that would have to be filled and, yeah.
Now, John, are you still wanting to move an airplane out there?
If the year goes well, hopefully have one by the end.
And I mean, I'll ask Ian again, but like I said, based on those conversations we had with him, Tyler, we don't have the funding to do a 6-unit.
Yeah, I was afraid of that.
What about a 3-unit?
I mean, I can ask.
Or a 4, or something that is not a full 6?
Something we could afford.
But an enclosed hangar.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'd also be interested in knowing the difference, because where you've got the red one, the 50 by 50, we would be able to put a mechanic in. Ian specified that. So I'd be curious in the difference of, you know, why can we do it there, not in the T hangar with the mechanic? And if we do a T hangar, is there anything we need to do extra or special to where we could allow a mechanic to work out a hangar B1? Or
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, I can ask
'Cause
those
I don't-
questions.
The cost delta between just an open overhang is, because you still have to do the concrete, you still have to do all of the associated dirt work, footers for the uprights, the structure. I don't know how much walls add, but if we could do a moderately scaled down T-hanger arrangement, and then perhaps the 50-foot hanger, something like that that's a little more tailored. We don't have to necessarily get married to the 6 T-hanger footprint, or
Sure.
potentially even add on to the end.
Sure. Yeah, so if Ian can come up with some options that are within our budget,
Okay.
we can have another meeting, but do we, I don't know how to ask this, do we agree that a hangar would be the next CIP project? Get some more revenue coming into the airport, get some more airplanes undercover, sell more fuel?
Yes, I think we need more hangars.
Well, I've got to ask a crazy question. We were talking about the lights a while ago being such a problem. Are lights something that's in this funds that we're talking about? No.
So not until the hangar project, you know, Ian's recommendation was to do hangars next while we have the extra
Okay.
funding. And then he
Okay.
said, when we're done with that, then lights.
Okay.
Okay, how can I help you today?
Okay.
So that
So-
would be my recommendation is
Okay.
to go ahead and keep hangars of some sort next in our CIP
Okay.
So we haven't changed it.
and come.
We haven't changed it yet.
No, not yet. There have been no changes to it yet. But like I said, whatever project we come up with, unless it's extending that taxiway, do you know what I mean? We'll have to do a modification to
Yeah, the
it.
change would be, our next project right here says construct taxi lanes. We
Right.
may not necessarily have to do that, so whatever's involved with getting more hangars at this point.
Yeah, so we would bump this out further or eliminate whatever that is. and insert whatever new project, and it'd be bumped out a year or two.
Right. Yeah, when Lochner knows we're serious about, hey, this is what we're gonna
Right.
do, they can design it and get us more
Right.
accurate budget numbers.
Okay. I will ask him to see what he can draw up for us related to additional enclosed hangar space. And I'm assuming go ahead and ask for options with and without the 50 by 50 in there? Just to see what he comes up with?
Sure.
Okay.
The space where he wants to put the 50 by 50 really only has an exit on one side.
Right.
And so we couldn't really put a T hangar there. Otherwise, you've got the real estate available, you just can't use half of the hangar
Right.
to put the T hangar, so. And then you've taken up that real estate for all the future,
Okay.
the possibility of having a bigger one, so, yeah.
And so at this point, we're not interested in the sun ports, or shade ports, sorry.
I think John's right. I think it is gonna be more appealing. You're gonna, it will be cheaper somewhat, but is it really that much cheaper in the long run when you're not making as much income? Probably not. Cause there was like a 10-year payoff with our 6 Ts that we just
Gotcha.
built.
People who have shade ports are just waiting for a hangar to open.
Well, true,
Yeah.
true. And I get that. It would at least give us the ability to accommodate some planes though, so.
And if you maybe keep one open for outsiders to park in.
Okay.
Any hangar.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm good with that. Looks like next we have the election of officers. We need a president, vice president, and secretary. Let's do president first this time.
I nominate Tyler.
I second that.
Nobody else wants to do this. All in favor?
Aye.
Vice president.
I nominate Steve.
No.
Try again.
I'm getting too old for that.
It's not that bad, is it, Jim?
So Jim's the president. I nominate Jim again.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And what are you, Rich? Treasurer, secretary? No, secretary. Secretary. Do we have a nominee for, nomination for secretary?
Rich.
Thanks.
I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right. So we've got a opportunity for the public to make 2-minute comments here at the end, if anybody would like to. Okay. All right, that brings us to the adjournment. Anybody wanna,
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all for being here, and thanks for putting